All right, good morning. This is Judge Spears speaking. Let me go ahead and go on record on the Thomas Warnick cases, 24 CR 1913, 22 CR 1296, 22 CR 1381, and 21 CR 15060. And we do currently have counsel on board. Let's go ahead and have entries of appearance on behalf of the people.
Joe Ratner for the people.
And for the defense.
Good morning, Judge Ian McDavid on behalf of Mr. Warnick, who is present out of custody via WebEx.
All right. And I'm assuming counsel have been able to hear me because of the question I asked Mr. Warnick. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. If any of you should have trouble hearing the court or each other, please let me know. We'll do what we can to make sure that we're all audible to each other. These cases are set today for status, essentially now at this point to address requests to withdraw that have been filed by Mr. McDavid in each of these cases. And Mr. McDavid, is it still your request that the court act upon those motions?
Yes, Judge.
All right. All right. Any further record you'd like to make, Mr. McDavid?
Judge, other than what I stated in the motion, I think the proper procedure in this case would be to employ the procedure articulated in People versus Bergrud here.
All right. And Mr. Ratner, do you have any input on how to proceed today?
You mean how I just leave? I can leave and come back if I get an email.
Well, no, what I'm trying to determine, first of all, well, Mr. Warnick, let me ask you directly. You kind of indicated, at least as far as Mr. McDavid has relayed to the court, that you wish Mr. McDavid to withdraw. Is that correct?
Say again?
You wish Mr. McDavid to withdraw as your attorney?
I don't trust Mr. McDavid to take this to trial. So, no, I do not have anything I wish to be involved with Mr. McDavid with.
All right. All right. I don't want to intrude upon any kind of conversations you might have had with Mr. McDavid about the cases themselves, but I need to determine whether or not there's been a breakdown, as we term it, in the relationship between yourself and Mr. McDavid. So, Mr. Warnick, do you feel you can no longer work with Mr. McDavid?
Yeah, I was held in jail for 2 months without legal representation at excessive bail, for which you stated that was excessive yourself, at which my vehicle was stolen from me, and nobody will help me recover my property or to make headway in this investigation for justice in my case. You stole my property. You violated my civil rights. You violated my constitutional rights. Article 2, Section 16 of the Colorado Constitution guarantees that I have legal representation, and you held me without bail in solitary confinement where I was not allowed to even leave my cell for 3 months.
Well, Mr. Warnick, right now,
you stole my vehicle. You stole my vehicle.
Mr. Warnick, right now you have legal representation, and Mr. McDavid is asking to withdraw. Do you object to his withdrawal? Mr. Warnick, can you hear me? Hang on one second. Mr. Warnick, if you can hear me, if you would unmute yourself and acknowledge that I'm talking with you. All right, we're appearing to have some kind of audio difficulty, so hang on one second. Staff has just stepped out briefly, and as soon as he's returned, he's got the control over muting or unmuting people in this particular electronic setting. So let's give him a chance to return to the courtroom and unmute Mr. Warnick so Mr. Warnick can continue to participate if he's able to do so in this electronic fashion. That's all right. Can you unmute Mr. Warnick? I can't, I'm not sure you can hear me. All right, Mr. Warnick has been unmuted. So Mr. Warnick, can you hear me? Mr. Warnick, can you hear me? All right, let me check with counsel. Mr. McDavid, can you hear me? I think you acknowledged me, yes, but we didn't get an audible response. You can hear me? Right. Hang on one second. You're muted as well.
That would probably help if I was unmuted. Yes, Judge, I can hear you.
Okay. And Mr. Ratner, can you hear me?
I can.
All right. All right. So apparently the difficulty we're having is just solely with Mr. Warnick's situation. And I can't tell at this point. It looks like his camera may have frozen up as well. So Mr. Warnick, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. All right, then Mr. Warnick has acknowledged that he can hear me. Mr. Warnick, you do have the right to be represented by an attorney, as you already mentioned. And you have previously been found indigent and been appointed both the Public Defender's Office to represent you and now Alternative Defense Counsel through Mr. McDavid. At this point, of course, you remain indigent and you have the right to appointment of counsel, but I need to make sure you're very clear on this. You have the right to competent representation, but you don't necessarily have the right to a meaningful attorney-client relationship. In other words, you can have an attorney on board. You might not necessarily get along with them, but they're the attorney that you will have, especially when they're appointed by the court. You always have the right to retain your own attorney, although we all recognize that carries some cost, financial cost to it, and many people cannot afford that particular situation. But frankly, when the court has appointed counsel, either through the Public Defender's Office or through the Alternative Defense Counsel Office, there's just simply not the option available to keep firing one attorney, getting another attorney on board. At some point, the court has to say, you're either going to have to accept the attorney you have, and if you can't work with that attorney, you're perfectly welcome to represent yourself in the case as well. However, I do need to advise you that representing yourself can carry a lot of difficulties. First of all, you'll be in a courtroom. You'll be facing a legally trained opponent in the representative of the district attorney's office. And you'll be required, on my part at least, to be aware of the rules that surround a courtroom, that surround courtroom proceedings. The court can't step down and offer you any assistance. I don't try to make this so difficult that a person can't represent themselves in the courtroom, but I can't, for instance, tell you who to call as a witness, what questions to ask, how to talk to the jury, what kind of arguments you might make. I'm sorry, Mr. Warnick? You appear to be agitated, but I can't quite make out what you're saying. Mr. Warnick, would you like to repeat yourself in a calmer tone?
You stole my fucking car. You fucking corrupt piece of shit.
All right. I have a question as to whether or not we can continue with any kind of conversation if you're so focused on your truck. I'm trying to focus on Mr. McDavid and his continued representation.
Violated my constitutional rights by holding me in solitary confinement without legal representation, and you're holding no responsibility for violating my civil rights in which you stole my vehicle. I've lost everything because of your decisions violate my civil rights to hold me in custody without counsel, without anything. When I asked Ian McDavid to acknowledge that in the court to show that I had lost these things, he had refused to do it. He said that because you, Michael Spear, had been giving him everything that he wanted, he refused to address the violation of my civil rights, and you guys are making me out to be the bad guy when you can verify yourself that you stole my vehicle. You stole my vehicle. You stole my vehicle. For why? For why? For allegations that you don't even look at the computer data. Like, what are you doing? You steal my vehicle, you arrest me, you do a search warrant for my vehicle just so you can sell it while I'm in solitary confinement. This is what I'm facing. You did that to me. Your decision to do it. You decided to hold me in custody without legal representation. You know, the public defender's office was trying to withdraw, and they did not advocate for all. You allowed these games to go on. And then for 2 months after public defender withdrawal, I was in solitary confinement, not being allowed to use the phone. And what am I supposed to do? Ignore the fact that your decision cost me everything, my vehicle. I had to go to court here in Pueblo because they put a lien against my home because of your decision. These are what I'm facing. This is what I'm bringing to trial. I'm calling you as a witness to trial because I feel like you supported Judith Labuda and her decision to falsely accuse me. The corruption is so deep that you will even step forward to steal my vehicle in order to punish me for what this system is doing to me. On the 8th of May, 2022, a false police report was filed against me. Judith Labuda used that false police report where I spent 13 months in jail, where she claimed that because I had used a weapon against a neighbor, I was too dangerous to release into the community. And when I upload a video and try to get acknowledgement for that, you arrest me again, hold me at $100,000 cash only bond, where my house was looted by the police, my vehicle was stolen, and I can't even leave my own home.
Mr. McDavid, any kind of response?
Ian McDavid was given handwritten instructions by Greta, the pretrial supervisor, in which he wasn't supposed to file a motion that would allow me to step foot in my house because, in her own words, the level of supervision that I needed did not meet what the court had decided. He chose not to do that. He chose not to bring that in front of you. You chose to ignore the issue 100%. I wasn't allowed to leave my front porch for over a month, which meant I wasn't allowed to go to the Department of Veterans Affairs. I wasn't able to seek medical care. I wasn't able to go try to get glasses. I wasn't allowed to even do one single thing to try to help recover my vehicle. You did this to me with your decision to hold me in jail without legal representation and excessive bail, where I was held in solitary confinement, which is cruel and unusual punishment. I am a disabled combat veteran. They offered me no medical care, and I was tortured. I suffered from severe light sensitivity, and I was tortured, and you let it happen with your poor decision.
Mr. McDavid, any kind of record you'd like to make in regards to the statement made by Mr. Warnick about his level of satisfaction or dissatisfaction with your representation?
No, Judge, I have no record to make regarding that.
All right. So I think, Mr. Warnick, you've been very clear about the situation with Mr. McDavid and your dissatisfaction with his representation of you. So I think it's only appropriate at this time to go ahead and grant his request to be allowed to withdraw on these cases from representing you in this matter. So, Mr. McDavid, the court thanks you for your service in these cases, and I'll go ahead and let you go at this time. All right, sir?
Thank you, Judge.
Piece of shit.
Now, Mr. Warnick, at this point, you are without counsel, and do you intend to hire counsel from your own resources?
That's the state of the Colorado problem. The Constitution of the United States, which I sacrificed my life for, guarantees that I receive legal counsel. The Colorado Constitution, Title II, Section 16, guarantees I receive. You will do your duty, and you will give me legal counsel, of which will take me to trial and will grant me the investigative power to seek the truth.
You're breaking up a little bit in the comments that you're making, Mr. Warnick. Would you like to repeat those, please? All right, Mr. Warnick, you've already been advised of the charges that have been brought against you in the 3 pending cases in this particular matter. You need to understand, of course, your right to a jury trial, and frankly, all 3 of these cases have been set for a jury trial at this particular time. I'll leave those matters as they are currently set. The next date that is set in these cases is November 14th at 8:30 in the morning and also at 1:30 in the afternoon. Those are motion hearings date. At 8:30 in the morning, we determine if there are any motions or perhaps there might be a disposition. At 1:30, if there are motions filed, we'll address the motions at that time. In other words, Mr. Warnick, at this time, I'm finding you representing yourself because of your actions related to the attorneys appointed from the Public Defender's Office and now Mr. McDavid appointed from the Alternative Defense Counsel Office. But you'll be expected to be in court and represent yourself in this particular matter for all pending charges. Do you have any questions for me, sir? I'll take it from your silence that you don't have any questions for me. So, Mr. Warnick, the bonds you've posted will be returnable on November 14th at 8:30. This will be an in-person proceeding here in the Denver courthouse, so you'll need to make your way up here to Denver. You'll continue to be supervised by pretrial release services, so you'll have to maintain contact with them as well. And any final comments, Mr. Warnick? Mr. Ratner, any comments for you, sir?
Your Honor, just to be clear, is the court finding an implied waiver of the right to counsel?
I am.
I have nothing further.
All right, then I'll call a recess on this matter. We'll see everybody on November 14th at 8:30 in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.